Hello, Divine Feminine. We are here for today's shadow reading. I think that it's very important that we look at our shadows. I don't know how you feel, but if you are here, you probably understand the importance of that because that's what the shadow reading is all about, is our shadows, right? We're looking into Divine Masculine's shadows today. And of course, you and your Divine Masculine are connected at the level of the soul. So a lot of these shadows that you're seeing in your Divine Masculine's patterns are probably similar or somehow triggered by your own shadows. So they may trigger you, you trigger them. That is part of the process that is initiated with meeting your divine flame. There is a divine purpose in it. It's important. You're going through a purging period during certain stages of this awakening process that was ignited when you encountered your twin flame. Now, when you encountered your twin flame, I can guarantee you that that was a part of the life path that you were here to experience. We're all going through, this experience here for, I guess, somewhat similar reasons. The lessons that we learn, the order that we learn them, how it manifests and unfolds for us is different and unique for each and every one of us in order to build the foundation for you to find and step into your life purpose. But we're all human here having the same kinds of experiences, and that is a part of all of our journeys, the awakening. Even if other people around you haven't actually experienced it yet, I guarantee you, at some point in time, at some stage, they will. It's part of the journey. So we're going to look into what's going on. We're going to start out with what is it that Divine Masculine needs to accept? What do they need to accept? What's going on in their reality right now that they just need to come to grips with and accept? All right. For this, we have Two of Cups. But real quick, before I put this down, let's get our incense lit here. Sometimes I forget to do this step, but I really do like to have incense burning during my readings. All right, so what is it that they need to accept? Two of Cups. They are looking for romance, they're looking for love, they're looking for connection. They want something solid, something true, intimate, and real. And maybe their patterns of behavior up until now haven't really been in alignment with this. They have the desire to have this experience in their life or to have a healthy experience in this area of their life, but the day-to-day decisions that they're making are actually not in alignment with that, and so they're not getting the outcome that they want. Sometimes it is very difficult for people to understand that the little decisions that they're making every day, like they have a tendency to fragment everything. They don't keep their eye on the prize. So say, for example, happiness is your goal. You say all the time, I want to be happy. I'm just not happy. But then on a day-to-day basis, the choices that you make are not in actual alignment with that outcome. And then you wonder why you're not happy, right? So people have a tendency to do that. They don't realize that there is an unacknowledged payoff in the short-term gains from these decisions that they're making, and so they're not motivated to change them, but they don't like the destination. They don't realize that it's actually harming them and veering them away from the real outcome, the master outcome, the the big goal, you could say, that they're actually trying to aim toward. So, if happiness is your goal, then you have to make sure that every single decision that you're making along your path is in alignment with that goal. And if it's not, even if there is some kind of short-term gain from that, you still have to stay away from that, because it's going to take you off track. Divine Masculine is learning this. There's a lot of things that they're doing that are not actually in alignment with the outcomes that they're seeking in life. And oftentimes that's left them feeling like, why? Why? I don't understand why things are not happening the way that they're supposed to happen, and why I'm not reaching my goals. But it's because they haven't made the connection between short-term and long-term goals and decisions. What you decide to do today is going to affect tomorrow. So, yeah, life can be quite tricky in that way. Those short-term gains, they're tempting, and they pull us into these patterns, and we don't realize that because, we're getting a short-term reward, we don't realize that it's actually veering us away from the main prize, which is what we're really actually trying to achieve. So your Divine Masculine needs to accept the patterns that they have that are not in alignment with the outcomes that they desire for their life. That is something that they need to look at and assess and accept, and then do something about. They got to stand as the guardian at the gate of their own mind and say no to the things that don't align. It sounds simple because it is simple, but it's also not simple. We don't make those connections, and your Divine Masculine is absolutely guilty of that, just like every other human being on the planet. And until we really go within and start to, break those things down, look at those patterns, we keep going around in circles. We get stuck in loops. And that's okay. The universe gives us what we need to evolve in order to align us with what we want. We'll keep making mistakes until we learn the lesson, and then we won't make the mistake anymore. So there's value in it, right? So they also need to accept that. What is it that they need to forgive? What do they need to forgive? Six of Spheres. So this is Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles. They need to forgive. I think they need to forgive themselves. That's what I'm seeing in this. They need to forgive themselves. There's this part of them that seeks validation from the approval and the acceptance of others. And because that is such a strong desire and need, they often forgo their own needs and desires in favor of pleasing other people. So they're very generous, they're very kind, they're very giving, but oftentimes they end up aligning with takers. And they don't end up, it's not a reciprocal relationship that they end up picking a lot of the time. They just kind of keep getting used or abused. And so they need to forgive themselves. They need to forgive themselves for not knowing and not seeing these patterns, and then acknowledging them and changing them. So oftentimes they feel like because they've gotten taken advantage of and they've been treated poorly, they've blamed themselves a lot. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not smart enough. They think that the fact that these takers are taking and not turning around and giving is because maybe they've done something to not deserve it. But that's not the case at all. They absolutely do deserve it, but it's them that they need to give it to. They need to give it to themselves. So they need to forgive themselves for just not having this knowing and this understanding. And then they need to redirect all of that energy toward themselves And this is something I can guarantee you, Divine Feminine, is an obstacle for you as well. That is something that is there for both of you. Turning, the reason why I know this is because you're on a twin flame journey, right? You are meeting your twin flame because it's like an intervention in your life, right? They intervene, they come in, they break it all up, and then like they are the tower moment and you're the tower moment for them. And it causes you to have to look at patterns that are not serving you well anymore. They've served you well to show you what you are not and what your divine masculine is not, but they're not serving you well anymore to where it is that you're going. So those patterns need to be healed and shed. That's what shadow work is all about. So they need to forgive themselves. You need to forgive yourself. And then allow change and transformation to come in. So what is it that Divine Masculine needs to release? What do they need to release in order to achieve their goals? Six of Swords. I have Six of Swords for this. So they need to I've lost my place here. One sec. They need to release. Okay. They need to release holding on to what was. If they are living in any kind of like how do I explain this? When I was younger, I used to say, well, I'll be happy when, my house is clean, or I'll relax when this is done, but the problem was I would constantly say, I'll be happy when, or I'll be this when, but the when never happened. And so it was kind of like always outside of my reach. I was always working really, really hard. And I had it backwards. I thought that the doing was going to bring me happiness or opportunity to relax or opportunity to, feel better. But really what it was is I needed to do those things first, and then everything outside of me would fall into alignment with that. And so they need to release old thought patterns. They need to release like whatever it is that they're holding on to. It could be that they may even need to possibly move, or they need to change jobs. They need to change relationships. They might need to let an old relationship that's just not working anymore go. But they need to let go of the past, and they need to quit holding on to something thinking it's just going to get better. Well, I'll be happy when this happens, or things will be better in my relationship when this happens. But the thing never happens, and so they just keep repeating these cycles, when really what they need to do is just focus on the goal and then let go of all the things that are not in alignment with that. So they need to release what is not in alignment with their goal. Sometimes that's hard to do if we don't even know what we're aiming for. And so they may need to spend a little bit more time knowing what their bullseye is, what it is that they need to aim toward, so that they can let things that are not in alignment with that go. But yeah, that's a good lesson right there for all of us on why we need to let things go and we need to release things in our life. It's part of the growth process. We sometimes think it's not, and we hold on and cling on to things much, much longer than we should, way past their due date. So what is it the Divine Masculine can learn? What can they learn? 10 of Cups. So family, commitment, really, diving into without fear, allowing ourselves to love and to accept support. Sometimes we are really, really willing to give, but we have, because love is expressed in two ways, through giving and taking, right? But if we are only one or the other, it can become very imbalanced, and sometimes our receiving is broken, and that can come from childhood wounds and traumas and things like that. We give in order to seek validation about our self-worth, but we're not comfortable receiving. There's more of us out there that are like that than are realized. We oftentimes focus on the takers as them being imbalanced, and that empaths or really compassionate people are always balanced, and that's not always the case. There is such a thing as, like, if there's a positive, there's always a negative, right? We live in duality, and everything can surface one way or the other. Your best qualities can be your worst qualities also, depending on what situation it is that they manifest in the context under which they manifest. So, being empathetic and overly giving and not allowing yourself to receive, or even expecting to receive sometimes in a balanced way, can become very toxic. There is such a thing as toxic empathy, and there is such a thing as healthy narcissism. Okay, these are words that are thrown around so much these days. There's probably better choices to use, but to kind of just throw it into, I guess, the natural lingo that seems to be circulating, these days online and socially, it kind of helps us to understand that a balance is important. And for your divine masculine to achieve what it is that they're looking for, they need to be able to receive it and expect to have a reciprocal relationship. That it's not just, it should never be one-sided. Okay, it shouldn't. Someone that's with you should love you and want to give. And oftentimes people who are stuck in taker patterns, doesn't mean that they're bad people, but it's also childhood trauma and wounding that has caused them to act and behave that way. It needs to be healed. Anything toxic is just toxic, whether it's coming from a narcissistic or an empathetic perspective. Balance is important, and the twin flame journey is all about understanding duality and achieving balance. That's the wake-up call. Okay? It's an intervention to creating a smoother trajectory toward your desired outcome and your soul's purpose. All right, so where is it the divine masculine can seek healing and recovery? And for this, we have 5 spheres in reverse, which is 5 of coins. So a new job, a new home, allowing themselves to feel hopeful, giving themselves some time for rest and recovery. So we talked about how, they needed to release, and maybe that could even potentially mean letting go of a relationship, letting go of a job, or letting go of a home. Here now we have where can they heal, which is actually kind of reflecting the same message. So something needs to change in your divine masculine's reality, and they need to kind of give it some attention so that the necessary steps can be made in order to release what's not working and then manifest what is more in alignment with what they truly are. So that's how healing is going to take place for your divine masculine, is through whatever this transition is that they have to go through. Whether it's moving to a new location, whether it's finding a job that's more in alignment with their life purpose and their goals, or a new relationship, something that isn't based upon, old perceptions and toxic patterns of behavior between both parties. A more conscious relationship is probably what they're needing. But retreat and rest has to happen first, because divine masculine needs some time to put it all into perspective. And sometimes, that means we need to go be a hermit for a little while. We need some rest and recovery, some isolation, some me time, some self-care time, and your divine masculine is definitely needing that. And then where is it that they can get help with this kind of stuff? Where can they get help with the recovery process? And for this, we have 9 of Swords. So they are very stuck in some pretty deep mind patterns that create a lot of stress, ruminating thoughts, and anxiety. And there's a tipping point sometimes that we go through where it goes from like the normal, like everybody has that to a certain degree, right? But there's like normal ranges, and then there's getting into, danger zones. And there's always varying degrees of both. So it's always a gray scale. But I think what this card is kind of showing us is that your divine masculine, it has kind of tipped into the more of like a danger zone. They're not feeling mentally and emotionally well. So they very well may need some outside help to kind of be able to redirect their thoughts, to be able to, manage their own emotional state. They need some techniques and some outside guidance to kind of get themselves back on track and to equalize and balance in their, in their perspectives and in their feelings toward themselves, and their, like, I guess they don't really know what proper boundaries are. And it gives them a lot of stress, and they're constantly thinking about, is this right? Is this wrong? Am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? They need some help. A therapist, a trusted friend and advisor, somebody who has experience in these areas would be a good place for your divine masculine to start, a good place for them to reach out. And they may find different levels of help along the way. When I first met my twin, they talked to me about that. I was going through a really difficult time, and they told me, look, you're going to meet some mentors along the way, and they're going to kind of pull you up, and you'll be there with that mentor for a while, and then, you'll kind of outgrow them, and then another person will kind of pull you up. And he drew some stairs, and he was showing, spirituality and self-esteem, and that you have these people that come along. And I think your divine masculine is kind of needing to embark on that self-healing journey, because they're really, really stuck in their head. I mean, you can see just by this picture right here, this person is just holding their head, and they're feeling quite tortured by the thoughts that they're having. And it's affecting them very negatively on an emotional level. And so some pretty deep healing needs to happen for your divine masculine. But it's going to have to be a choice that they make. And if they don't make it right away, things will get worse. It's kind of like being forced, sort of like you, being forced into having to do something to make yourself feel better. So be good on, maybe be forgiving, even if it's from a distance and you're not interacting with your divine masculine at all right now, but you just know they're going through some stuff, or you're not even sure if they're going through some stuff, but you suspect that they might be. Just emotionally kind of go easy on them. That's actually going to help and benefit you. Okay, they're in a state right now where they're not really good for anyone, which is why if there is separation happening for you guys, it's an important part of the process. The universe is working on your divine masculine to balance them out, just like it's working on you. So have faith in that process. What is needed is going to be given. So your numerology number for today, you guys, is 33. I love 33. I'm a 33 life path. 33 is a good number. My birthday is 5/24/75. And I found out after my spiritual journey started through some interesting synchronicities that I was a life path 33. Also, Cam is a life path 33. We found that out about each other as well. we worked together for several years and didn't even realize that we both had the same life path number, which was pretty funny when we figured that out. It was pretty cool little synchronicity. But so yeah, 3 or 33. Okay. There is not a whole lot of ways to change that. Right there, you got a double. Okay. Let me get you guys an oracle card today. Let's go with our Oracle of a Mentee today. This is a great deck. I really love it. The guidebook has some longer explanations in it, so I don't always grab it, but I mean, the wisdom in it is wonderful. It's Hermetic philosophy, and I love Hermetic philosophy and Hermetic principles, and highly recommend you check them out. It's very beneficial and helpful on your journey. Let's see here. If you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps us a lot with our algorithms and being able to reach more people. So if you like our stuff, help us out by liking and subscribing. Also, we are still offering group calls, but only for a little bit longer. So if you're interested in purchasing group calls before our coaching packages come out, now is the time to do that. We will not, we'll be grandfathering those people in. So you'll be able to do, we're doing a lot of lessons and stuff during the group calls, which are awesome. But a lot of that's going to end up being covered in the coaching content, the packages that we're developing. And so after that, group calls will be something that will only be offered after, because we don't want to have to kind of keep repeating the same lessons over and over again for people who've already gone through the course. So that's why that will change. But for right now, you are still able to get into those group calls at that lower price without doing the coaching package. So if you're not wanting to do the coaching package, which it's going to be really good, you guys, and I highly, highly recommend it. Of course I do. We are putting a lot of time and energy into developing it, and it's going to be phenomenal and not like anything you've seen. But I understand not everyone can afford that. So, and we are going to, of course, make it as affordable as possible. But anyway, you guys get it. I won't keep talking. I'm just talking because I'm shuffling here. But yeah. So check it out, the-conduits.com. We have tarot readings available as well, several options. But the group calls are really, really good, you guys. Really, really, really good. So if you've been on the fence about it, right now is the perfect time to do it. So you can get it still at that lower price. Okay. I embrace the all. That's a cool card, you guys. The all is the universe. It's everything. It's the singularity. It's the oneness of all things. All right. I think this is the last one in the book too. And it's 42. 42. Someone left a comment on our number 7 video last week, which was so cool, saying that there were 6 7s, and that equaled to 42, which was really cool because that is the number of everything, right? 42. And of course, the all, I think that it's kind of cool that they made that number 42 on the deck here. So, cosmic consciousness is a term first coined in 1901 in the book Cosmic Consciousness, a study in the evolution of the human mind by Richard Maurice Buck. Its central tenet is that cosmic consciousness, a consciousness of the life and order of the universe which is possessed by few men present. It is a further stage of human evolution which will be reached by all humanity in the future. While in the present moment, the various gradients of the collective consciousness tend to anthropomorphize the idea of the all that is as a being. By embracing the ideal of the all, we can find relationship with our true being. The all of our individual reality is our poetry in motion, the allegory and the metaphor of our story within the history of the universe becoming conscious of itself through its individual components becoming conscious. Becoming cosmically aware, we illuminate our darkness within the sparks of light that experience provides us as we emerge from the caverns of ignorance into a space of crystalline clarity. To know the all, we must see the all as a type of awareness, a nebula amid nebulousness, the key which opens all doors of perception and potential. Embracing this ideal, we find a relationship with the power of doing as well as being. We allow the stellar force of life to give us gravity in the moments that ground us, but also elevate us through levity, reflection, and creativity in the moments that knock us off our feet. The invisible patterns that govern intelligent design reveal their geometry in nature, the cosmos, and the varying degrees of consciousness you ascend toward as you learn and find your vision by experiencing the all. Man is a star bound to a body, until in the end he is freed through his strife. Only by struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of night. That's beautiful, you guys. You are all a part of the pleroma. And you've come here to experience. I think that's beautiful. I'm not even going to say anything more about it. I think it's quite beautiful the way that it embraced. And I love that it showed up in your shadow reading, because it talks about, the darkness illuminating the light, and how our light, we also illuminate our darkness. That's the shadow work. It's the merging of the shadow and the light. There's a cartoon, which is really cool. I'm going to do a breakdown on it at some point. But it's called The Dark Crystal. I highly recommend that you watch The Dark Crystal. There's a lot of spiritual knowledge in that film. It's on Netflix, the new one, but the old one is the one that I loved. I watched it all the time when I was a kid. So you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for being here. Let me know if you have questions or comments in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to read them. I try to respond to all of them. You guys are special to me. We're all on this journey together. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.